Hey guys, Jason here. Welcome to another episode of Driver's Paddock. Today we're at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park Grand Prix track, and next to me is a limited edition Morizo GR Corolla. I'm going to take it out on track. At the end, I'll give you my thoughts on it. We have a good friend from out of town, so I'm going to be taking him out as a passenger. And this car belongs to one of our friends over at Numi Racing, who are the Lucky Dog Endurance Racing Canada GT1 champions from last year. We'll be battling tomorrow on track. Check out their YouTube channel as well. But without further ado, let's head out on track with the GR Corolla Morizo edition. Let's go.
So it's set up like VSC kind of sport, like half off, half on.
Okay, that's perfect.
So yeah, should be like 50-50.
Yeah.
It's like a very not aggressive, just in the middle.
Okay, I won't go crazy.
Yeah, just
Don't
have
worry.
fun.
Yeah.
See if you can feel the energy of the car.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it made Pat laugh a lot.
Yeah. Can you tell us what's done to it? Just full stock?
Bone stock, just camber bolts in the front.
Camber bolts in the front? Okay.
That's it.
What tire is it on stock?
Stock Michelin Cup 2.
No way. Has Cup 2s?
Yeah, but Cup 2 connects.
Okay.
240 treadwear version.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in the GR Corolla Morizo edition. You can tell right off the bat with the Alcantara steering wheel, and I've been reminded that there are only 10 of these in Canada. So, I mean, I'm gonna see what the car can do, but for sure we're not gonna be full sending the car. I do have a passenger with me, and so we'll have a good time. A lot of race cars on track. out the Morizo edition. It's good. The steering gets really heavy when the front loads up, and it is a little tail happy, like the rear end likes to come out. It drives like an all-wheel drive car with a big sway bar. Came a little loose in turn 4 here. Gotta commit to the power. It's a good car. Brakes are good. Tires are good. Hey guys, so we just finished driving the amazing Morizo GR Corolla, and this is its owner, Nick Maitland, and he is part of Team Numi Racing, and they are the last year's champions in the GT1 class, so the fastest class, and they drive an FRS. Is it an FRS or an FRS?
2013 FRS.
2013 FRS, and they are a group of amazing drivers, super dedicated, super fast. And so this is his car. And so why don't you tell us, Nick, a little bit about why you bought this car and what do you think about the car so far, having owned it and tracked it at GP today?
Okay, so actually, I've been a diehard Toyota guy for as long as I can remember. My dad brainwashed me from a very young age, let me drive his Toyota Camry in the Toys R Us parking lot. So from a very early age, I got the blinders put on me, and all my automotive attention was paid to this one brand, as you can see.
You're fully decked out of the Toyota gear. That's amazing.
Actually, yeah, the dealership that sold me this car gave me the jacket with the car. So
nice.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the car? I mean,
okay.
You spent some time at GP. Is this the first time you tracked this car?
I spent some time last year at DDT, and there it was more close to stock in terms of alignment. The only difference from today and last year is the alignment. So maybe we can get more into that. But yeah, GP, much more high-speed track. And so maybe the alignment changes didn't really suit it the best, I would say, but very interesting.
Gotcha. So what did you do to the car in terms of alignment? What mods have been done to it? And what are your impressions of its driving?
Yeah, so basically we zeroed out the toe all around. My friends at Strand Type, my friend Bryson, he also sometimes races here at Lucky Dog in a Mantis car. So yeah, we zeroed out the toe to make the car, a little bit more playful, and added some camber in the front via some camber bolts. It's a cheap, $35 mod you can do to make your front tires last a lot longer.
Otherwise, it's stock?
Otherwise, it's stock.
Gotcha. So, like, my driving impressions of it, I mean, I did 4 laps in it, and the fastest lap that I did was a 137.1 with a passenger. And, they reminded me that there are only 10 of these. Is that right? 10 of these in Canada?
Yes.
10 of these in Canada. So, I'm not going to go out and crash it. I'm going to take it easy, push it just a little bit. And so, I think it could go much, much faster. But in terms of the car itself, like, with the zero toe, what I felt was that it was quite unstable on the high-speed stuff, like especially turn 4. Like the rear end was, even though I was on partial throttle, the rear end wanted to come out, and so basically I had to fully commit to the throttle to pull the car straight. Now this car being all-wheel drive, I was surprised at that because coming in, maintaining the throttle, having all 4 wheels sort of push you straight. I was surprised that the rear end kind of came loose, and then I had to commit to the throttle. And on the back straight, like Nick, you experienced it too. Like it kind of tram lines a little bit, right? Like I think that speaks to it lacking a little bit of high-end stability. What do you think about that?
Yeah, some high-speed stability would be a great asset to add to this car, and I think we unknowingly removed what little it had or what it came with. So I think going back to a stock toe setting, especially in the rear, I think would help with those 2 situations. Those are 2 higher speed sections in the track here, where I think anyone could appreciate some more stability.
Yeah, exactly. Turn 8, same thing. Like if you're not off the brakes early and then you're not on the power, you're not committing to the power, like the rear end wants to kick out as well. And so what do you think? Rear toe in? What else?
Yeah, I'd say some rear toe in. this might be a little nerdy, but the order of manufacture or assembly of these cars was the Core version, and then the Morizo, and then there was a version called the Circuit Edition, which I think you can still get in 2024. It came with a rear wing and a different treatment here on the front end, and these are like really subtle aerodynamic changes. So the rear wing wasn't ready in time for this car, but when the Circuit Edition came out with the rear wing, they blocked off these air curtains here for the front tires to help reduce front end lift as well, to keep the center of downforce a little more neutral. So that just goes to show maybe the car could use some downforce in the rear, but that's always like a last ditch effort to make a car handle right. I think some toe would be the right move here in the rear.
Right, and also I found that in 5, when I'm trying to rotate the car to have a really good exit on the back straight, essentially when I lifted, the car would rotate, but even if I touched the throttle a little bit, it would immediately straighten out. It would straighten out really quickly. And so I would love if it was possible, like in the slow stuff, to just rotate a little bit more and then just boom, rocket ship with the 4-wheel drive out of the corners, and then again a little bit more stability in the high speed stuff in the rear end. That'd be absolutely amazing. So I mean, we did a 137. I think it has a lot more in it, especially if I had more than the 4 laps without a passenger, and this thing is his baby, so I'm not going to be crashing it at GP. But I honestly think it could probably do a 35, just as is, but just with some setup. So that's crazy, man. 35 is like super fast, right? Like, yeah. What do you think it can do?
Honestly, I'm surprised you managed to do a 37. I wasn't tracking my lap times, but it didn't feel like I was going anywhere near that fast. So, it's really reassuring. Our friend Chris, he went out with a guy with a stopwatch in the passenger seat, and they said they did a 36.
Yeah, right. Yeah, stopwatch, right? Yeah, like a laggy finger, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah. How convenient, But we can get more into depth about the center diff in this car. Actually, this car doesn't have a center diff.
Please do.
So basically, it's a front-wheel drive based all-wheel drive system. And what the car is able to do is apply basically a brake on the center drive shaft to direct torque to the rear wheels. So it's not a brake, it's a wet clutch. I think there's about 12 clutches in there, or 12 discs. And, it can get overwhelmed with the amount of torque it can brake, essentially, and send to the rear. Also, the rear diff is overdriven, I think, like 0.7% or 0.07% or something, very small amount. So that center clutch is always slipping. But when you're in gears like, I'm assuming, gear 4, 5, and 6, that center clutch is able to clamp a larger portion of the torque and send it to the rear. And so maybe the car feels a little bit more rear drive in those gears, but it is overwhelmed in, gears 1, 2, and 3, where you have a lot of torque multiplication, and it's just not able to cope with those huge torque numbers that are coming out of the transfer case.
I see. Okay, so at higher speeds, it would be more rear biased. Yeah. Right, and then at slower speeds, it'd be more front biased, right? And that's really interesting.
It's almost like the opposite of your wish list that you mentioned earlier. So I think maybe there's a middle ground with tuning. You can get there and make the car feel better for Jason.
Absolutely, right? Like in the slow stuff, if you can get it to rotate, you point and shoot. Fast stuff, you want rear end stability, right? So if we could play around with that, maybe. One other thing I'll say is that we had it on, what traction mode was it on?
It was on the mode, it's kind of like the middle mode where you just push the button, and there's an expert light that lights up on the dash, which is, I guess, like the middle traction mode. And then if you hold it down, the expert light turns off, and that's like fully off. So yeah, we left it in the middle traction mode here with the expert light on, and also the 50/50 torque distribution. Actually, that's a good point. Maybe you'd prefer the car in 60/40. You know, maybe in that setting, or you know, some other drivers in the 30/70 might prefer that, especially in a tighter track. It's something we should look into maybe in the future.
Right. I think at a track like this, I would prefer if it was more like a front wheel drive car than a rear wheel drive car. Like, I think we were getting, like, I want the best of both worlds, but this car gave me the opposite of that, right? It gave me, again, just like not enough rotation and the slow stuff and instability in the high speed stuff. One thing I will say, and I will caution my viewers, okay? If you are an experienced driver, I personally feel like when you're at GP, turning traction control fully off is a little bit safer, because when you're in those high commitment corners, I'm talking 2 and 4, where you can't lift. If mid corner the traction control is pulling power, like it is a little bit scary, a little bit jarring, right? And so like if it's cutting power, the rear end can come out, and then you can feel the car like applying the brakes a little bit, right, in all 4 corners. And so yeah, if you're a very experienced driver, you know, like work up to it, of course, but I think fully off might be safer depending on how intrusive the traction control was. This one was okay. I had to kind of work around it a little bit. Get the car a little bit straighter so I can get on the power earlier. So just like rounding out the corner just a little bit more, and like a little bit of a late apex, going a little bit slower, making sure the car is not like losing traction, or it's going to be cutting power a little bit, breaking the 4 corners, but then kind of rounding out, getting later apexes to like kind of rocket ship out of the corners. But okay, a few other things to talk about. So the Morizo edition, it gets a few different things, right? I know one of them is the steering wheel, right? What else is Morizo?
Okay, so shall we talk about the interior a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I'll just go from memory here. But yeah, you get an Alcantara wrapped steering wheel. You get more aggressive seats with the Alcantara lining. You do get a textured, like little trim pieces. They call it cast iron.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any Canadian documentation that says this, but if you translate some Japanese stuff, they call it, like, instead of gloss black, you have this thing called cast iron, and it literally feels like a cast iron pan. It's almost like sandpaper. I'll point it out to you.
Cool, yeah.
Also, you know, the gearing's different. The final drive is shorter, and first and third gears are different, creating like a shorter gearbox.
Yeah, what I found was, like, for example, like exiting 3, I was in third gear going into the third corner, and then like as I'm exiting, I have to shift into 4th, right? Like the gearing was pretty short. Like I was finding myself having to shift in areas where, I mean, it wasn't perfect for this track, but it was engaging and it was super fun. The fact that I had to shift, but yeah, a little bit short for this track. Yeah, one other thing, the spring rates in this car are different, right? Do you know by how much, or?
Yeah, I believe the front is about 10% stiffer than the standard car, and the rear is around 80% stiffer. So
80% stiffer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, if you look at all these modifications on a text on a sheet, you'd be like, why are you changing the car this way? Maybe you're doing these things for a tighter track, you know. Maybe this is a car we should try out at DDT and see if we think it's over scary over there. I don't know.
No, because the thing is, this is Canadian Tire Motorsports Park Grand Prix track. And so it boasts the highest average speed of any track in North America. And so if it has 80% stiffer rear rates, 10% stiffer in the front, it kind of explains like some of the things that we're experiencing in the car, right? But you're right. If we're at DDT, which is a tighter track, there's a lot of things like hairpins and a lot of tighter corners, right? I think this thing might make sense there, right? Like even with the zero toe, right? So maybe at GP we would set it up differently. At DDT we would set it up differently, and so those are things for you to explore and have fun with, right? This guy's an absolute animal on track, by the way. He's a beast. So I can't wait to see what he can do at all these tracks once we sort of figure out setup, how to play around with the center diff, tire pressures, camber, alignment, all that stuff. So I'm really excited. Anything else?
think that's it. Just stay tuned, guys. Just stay tuned. This is the start of the journey. You know, this is my first track day with it, my first real track day, and I'm happy to share it with Jason. And hope to, you know, keep you guys up to date. Come along for the ride with me.
That's awesome. If you want to follow along, Team Numi Racing, they also have a YouTube channel, which I'll flash below. Do you have a YouTube channel yourself?
No, just, you know, we're consolidating it all to Numi Racing. So yeah, hop on there and check it out.
But I really enjoy driving it. Thank you so much for letting me drive it. It's amazing. And, you know, good luck tomorrow. We're going to be racing it against each other. And, you know, even though we compete against each other, we're all buddies. We're all friends. And we all share this passion of cars, right? We're all automotive enthusiasts. We're all track enthusiasts. And we all want to see each other do well. So even though we're competing against each other, you know, it's amazing that Nick is willing, just like, hey, man, you want to try my Morizo edition? It's just such a good atmosphere, such a good environment. And so thanks, everybody, for watching. And we'll catch you on the next one. See you guys.